one of the reasons we put off these conversations is there's no point because I can't change the other person. The secret is that that's not the point.
What?
The purpose is to demonstrate to yourself that you are worth standing up for.
A difficult conversation is often with you, and it's often in my head going, I need you to be a different person.
I want you to be different
You
for
need
me
to change
to be happy.
for me. Yes.
I mean, that's a whole other episode, right? The idea that for me to be comfortable, you need to be a different person.
That's every episode, Kimberley.
We have got you back to talk about difficult conversations. A few years ago, you talked to me about difficult conversations, and it made a huge impression on me. Can you talk about difficult conversations?
I absolutely can. It's one of my favourite subjects, partly because this is the essence of therapy. A lot of what we do in therapy is to prepare people to have difficult conversations, either internal ones, so the breaking down beliefs that they might have about themselves, or external ones with people in their lives that they're having difficult relationships with.
And I should say that you have someone in the room who is, I'm a convert, but Chris is pulling a skeptical, he's folded his arms and crossed his legs and squinted his eyes. He's withdrawn. Chris
Only a psychologist would interpret this body language.
He's a typical British man.
I'll tell you what's happening right now is I feel like you two are about to have one of those conversations with me where you're like, Chris, can we have a word? And a few times in my life, people have tried to have these conversations with me. It makes me feel so physically repulsed. I want to run from the room. And I avoid having them with other people because I don't want to make other people feel like that. Can we begin then by going, what are the difficult conversations we might need to have? What exactly are we talking about?
Okay. So there are a plethora of difficult conversations, right? You know, if you want a promotion, if you're in a relationship and maybe your sex life isn't so great anymore, if you have a friend and things are getting a little bit weird or distant or something's changed and you don't know what it is. Let's say your mum is constantly commenting in your body and you don't like it. You need to have a difficult conversation with that person, with your mother, whoever, so that changes. Essentially, everything that you want in life is on the other side of a difficult conversation. And we have this belief or idea that, A, if we ignore it, it'll just go away. It doesn't.
I'm trying to think of the exception. Go on.
Or that there are no costs. And actually, there are lots and lots of implicit costs, right? Let's say you and I are friends who have slightly drifted. Every time we meet up, there's something between us. There's like a boulder in the path between us. We're not really being very honest with each other, which means we can't have a real relationship. We're not actually meeting each other at depth because there's something happening that we're both ignoring. And what happens in the quiet is a build-up of resentment. So I think when you don't have these conversations, one of two things happens. You have a big blow-up, which is much more destructive, or you have a kind of deadening of the relationship because you end up just avoiding it and letting it go. And I think that is a kind of implicit cost and an incredible shame when actually one conversation could change the whole thing.
So how do we have these difficult conversations?
Okay, I'm glad you asked because I have a 10-point plan. I think, the first 3 steps in my 10-point plan are all preparation. So it's not just diving straight in. It's actually how do we prepare and how do you get on board psychologically? So the first one is to think about the costs. What are the real costs to the status quo? How do I feel like I'm compromising myself? Am I no longer aligning with my values of honesty and authenticity? How is this avoidance generalizing and bleeding over into other things in my life? How, by not demonstrating courage to myself, am I not allowing myself to grow and be braver in other ways? So to kind of think about the costs of the status quo.
Can I just understand this? If I'm unable to go to someone professionally and ask for more money, or in my relationship to ask for a better relationship, I'm teaching myself the lesson that I'm not a person of value. That I don't value my stuff. I'm actually learning by not doing it. I don't value either honesty or my goals or myself.
So it could be a bunch of that, right? If by not doing it, you're kind of saying, well, my feelings aren't really worth standing up for, right? The way I feel all of this discomfort, but that other person's temporary discomfort of learning that I don't like chocolate, or imagined discomfort is more important than my ongoing real discomfort at being untrue to myself. I will continue to have relationships that are kind of so-so and fine and a bit surface level, but I might never get to feel really comfortable with someone and really relax with them in a way that can only happen when we're both being our true selves.
Okay. All right. I'm being talked around. Okay. So number 1, we've got to get through all 10.
Number 2, do the opposite. Think about the benefits. What could I get from on the other side of this conversation? And that might be just for yourself. So, and I think that's really important, because often one of the reasons we put off these conversations is, oh, the other person isn't going to change. There's no point because I can't change the other person. The secret is that that's not the point.
Oh. What?
It's not the point.
But the whole point of talking to other people is to manipulate them and bend them to your will, isn't it?
That's why we're on the radio.
It's a big deal, this, because it feels obvious when you say it maybe, but it is actually, in my head, a difficult conversation is often with you, and it's often in my head going, I need you to be a different person.
I want you to be different
you
for
need
me
to change
to be happy.
For me, yes.
And for the listeners, he's jabbing his finger at me.
And so that's a whole other episode, right? The idea that for me to be comfortable, you need to be a different person.
That's every episode, Kimberley. That's every episode.
So yes, if we accept that you can't change the other person, we all come with our own previous kind of biases and ways of being. Really, the purpose, this kind of secret, implicit, important purpose of the big conversation is to demonstrate to yourself that you are worth standing up for.
You may not get what you want.
You may not get what you want. Well, you may not get what you want from the other person, but you may get what you want from yourself.
Oh.
You may get that sense that...
Don't wiggle your eyebrows at me.
It ruins it if I told you so. I'm trying not to say I told you so.
You're saying it more clearly than if you said it.
Right, you may get that sense of, I can do difficult things. This conversation that I thought was impossible, that I told myself I could never have, I've just had it. And if I can do that, what else am I capable of? And often, even if the other person is unable, unwilling to change or bend to your will, they respect you more for being yourself. And then step 3 is to work out, do the cost-benefit analysis. Look at your 2 lists and think, is it worth it?
So there is it in your, is it an algorithm in your sort of flowchart? There is a moment of going, I'm not going to have every single difficult conversation available to me.
No, you don't need to kind of barge around the world saying you. No, not at all. Like, you need to decide that it's worth it, because we have a finite amount of energy and we have a finite amount of relationships, and you want to make sure that you're putting the effort where it needs to go. So you can absolutely tap out at step 3 if you've decided that it's not worth it.
I like that.
Absolutely fine.
Okay, so that's step 3.
Mm-hmm. Then you're going to ask for support. So you're going to speak to a friend or another loved one, and you're going to say, hey, I'm about to do this thing that I'm finding really frightening and scary or daunting. Can I just know that you support me? Just so you know that there's someone in your corner. And then the next step, you're going to initiate the conversation. Now, this is the hardest part. This is the part that you avoid, Chris. This is the part that makes you feel...
You've got me a long way.
Arriving.
And
I think I need a break. I'm going to go. You guys can
He's storming out.
I'm going to storm out.
And I think in the examples you gave, actually people initiated the conversation very badly.
Can I have a word? Can I have a word?
That might be one of the worst sentences in the human language. We need to talk. Like, it's a horrible feeling, because it's so full of ambiguity. And the human brain doesn't like ambiguity.
No.
And we will fill the gap of that ambiguity with our worst fears.
Yes.
We will fill it with, like, they're going to shout at me, they hate me, some catastrophe is going to befall, I'm going to be fired. So it's never, ever, ever, ever start a conversation like that. And once you've initiated the conversation, please don't leave people hanging.
It's a power move.
It's horrible. It's really horrible.
I will talk to you when I get back from Bermuda.
Horrible. So what you're going to do, and modern technology helps us out here, is that you're going to send them a message, and you're going to say something like, I've been thinking about our relationship, and I really want us to be as close as possible. Would you be up for having a conversation? When would work for you in the next week? So you're giving the person a heads up. You're asking for a time in the near future so they're not left hanging, and you're giving them a choice. And at that point, they can say no. they can say, actually, I'm not interested in having a conversation.
What if they say no? It feels like that'll be a catastrophe.
Well, I'm not sure it would be, right? Because if they say no, then you can still say to yourself, really importantly, I tried. I took that step. I still get the benefits of the courage and the effort. And you can ask a follow-up question, why not? And if they say, I don't have the bandwidth, I can't cope with it, then that's absolutely fine. They know that there's something.
That's their
happening.
right.
That's absolutely their right. And you can say, okay, fine. And then you can make a choice. We can carry on like this. They know that I think there's something up and we can carry on like this for a bit. And then we can reassess it. But we don't have to keep pretending that there's nothing going on here. There's a bit more reality and there's a bit more honesty in what's happening. It happened to me. I asked someone if they wanted to talk about our relationship and they said no. And I said, okay, that's fine. Now I know where I stand.
Do people often say no?
No. I was particularly unlucky.
I can't imagine if someone's, even if it felt uncomfortable, if they said to me, I'd like to talk, you can choose the time, here's what it's about. Because the uncertainty also gives me a bit of curiosity. It's quite engaging. I don't think I'd ever say no.
And you said you were unlucky, but I think if the person says no, well, that isn't unlucky, is it? Because now you are in possession of reality and truth and information, and it might be immediately uncomfortable, but that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I can make a decision about how I interact with this person. Do I continue to pour my energy and investment and love into this person, or can I redirect it into people who are more interested in having a real relationship with me? It gives you more options having had the having attempted to have the conversation and having their answer. Step number 6, prepare. So if we all know as human beings that when we're in an emotionally tense situation, that we're likely to feel anxious and we're likely to feel a little bit restless. When we feel anxious, our PFC, that part of our brain that does the impulse control and the planning and the thinking and the reason shuts down. It basically goes offline. You need to prepare for that. So what's usually really helpful is to write down what you want to say, either in bullet points or sometimes as a letter. And that does 2 things. One, it means that if you do become overwhelmed, if you do start crying, you can come back to what you wanted to say. The second value of writing it down in the form of a letter is that you can leave that with them. Because we have to assume that the other person is going to have their own feelings and they might be a bit anxious and they might even have had no idea that you felt this deeply about whatever the issue was. And so what the letter can do is it means that when they, in the quiet of their own minds and back at home and feeling relaxed, is that they can read it and they can take it in and let that process.
That makes sense. So write it down, plan for the person you're going to be. Where are we next? 6?
We're at 7. So now you're going to have the conversation. So when you have the conversation, I always suggest having it in person if possible. If the person's on the same hemisphere as you, doing that. Because one of the reasons, even your facial expressions now, one of the reasons that we have such expressive faces is because that non-verbal communication is so important to human communication. And so much of the nuance and the tenderness can be lost when it's in writing. And then I always say, come back to it. Don't expect to get this resolved in 1-2 hour session. Come back in a week. Again, that lets your cortisol and your adrenaline come down. It means that you can kind of regain control of your thinking apparatus. You can take in what they've said. You've both had an opportunity to kind of make sense of what's happening, and then you can come back together. So I always suggest having a week between basically part 1 and part 2 of the conversation. So essentially those are the last steps. So 7, 8, 9 and 10 is that kind of preparation, asking, preparing, having the conversation, giving some time to recover, and then coming back.
The aftermath.
The aftermath.
That is fantastic. And what's so striking to me is this is not just going seek conflict in your life, seek bits of antagonism, confront every person who opposes you in some way. It's going, look, there are things that really matter that will take time to resolve. I mean, you're talking about a process that will consume several hours spread over several weeks. This is be deeply thoughtful about your relationships and the people you choose to invest in. That, to me, is the core message.
Yeah.
And invest in them, even if that is difficult.
Absolutely. And if it's important, it's worth putting the time in.
Chris, how are you feeling at the end of this?
I think we've talked about these conversations that people want to have where you're standing up for yourself. What about the difficult conversation where I'm worried about Xand? He's really avoiding it. the classic
And
ones.
that's
might
a real
be,
thing in our life, isn't it? That for a long time,
Well-
Chris was very worried about my health and the way I was treating myself. And it was very difficult for him to bring it up. And he actually really did try and have the conversation. I didn't want to have it.
Does the same process apply if I'm worried about someone's drinking or the way they're treating themselves or something they're doing? Is it the same process for how to bring that up?
I basically, yes. So if I were worried about somebody, I would essentially go through the same steps because, again, this is somebody I care about and it's an important conversation. And then the difference is that you have much more grace for what they're willing or able to tolerate, because it may be that they're not at that place of being able to hear what you have to say. But I think the important thing is that when they are ready, they know that you care enough about them to have had this difficult conversation. That you have gone to the point of kind of facing your own awkwardness and difficulty in order to tell them basically that you love them and you care about them. Because there is nothing more lonely, I think, than to be in pain and to think that nobody's noticed. And so even if they're not at the point of being able to talk about it right then, that will lodge somewhere in the back of their minds so that when they are ready, they know that you, maybe of everybody around them, were the one person who saw them, that cared about them enough to be that brave, and you will be available for them when they're ready.
I like that idea of having some grace about what they need, and sometimes just getting to step 5, getting to the point of sending them that initial message. That may be as far as you can get, but that will still have value.
It's really valuable. It's really valuable.
And that was very true when Chris was very worried about me and my health, and I wasn't looking after myself at all. And I did feel that thing of
Oh. Why do you get upset? I don't, why are you upset about this? I'm not criticising you.
No, I don't think you are. Sorry, everyone. If it's difficult, if you can't.
Well, say it.
No, it's just difficult to speak. If you think you'll just burst into tears, then it's not. It's not what I wanted to do. It's not. I just don't think it's going to be helpful. But the thing I think I think about it a lot with Chris worrying about me. That I think it was very difficult for him. And the difficult thing for Chris was that he wanted to change me, which you can't help if it's your family member. And I think that the thing that I really get from what Kimberley's saying is that was the one thing, if you'd gone and spoken to Kimberley, she would have said, look, don't try and change him, just tell him you... And that...
It shifts it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why I get upset.
It's okay. Take your time.
Sorry, everyone.
Oh, you never have to apologise for crying or being upset or feeling.
It's good. It's good because Chris is like, oh, we're making a radio show. Kimberley's like, you never have to apologise for crying. And Chris is like, well, we do have a record. If you could, you don't have to apologise. If you could speed this up a little bit, that's good. I'd rather laugh than cry. I don't mean. It always catches me by surprise. I don't mean to get upset, but. I think it's because I suppose the thing that I needed from Chris was just for him to care. And the thing I'm sure that set me off is you going, oh, there's nothing lonelier than feeling people don't care about you. But I'm sorry, I know this isn't very helpful. I do feel the clock ticking. But yeah, so that thing
I've got all the time in the world. So
yeah, I think so.
For listeners, we're chopping onions.
It's very dusty.
It's hay fever. It's pollen. It's no mow May. That's the problem. I think it just that simple point that Kimberley made about going. You're not trying to check with these conversations. You're not trying to change the other person. You're asserting yourself and sticking up for yourself. And sticking up for your need for me to look after myself is okay. But I think that's the other thing that I think you're so brilliant at, Kimberley, is going, literally that core thing of going, these are difficult conversations. They're not just important ones. they're really difficult. And so it is going to take a long time and it will involve discomfort. And that was true for me and Chris, and it still is a bit. It's difficult to keep thrashing out the relationships that matter around you. He doesn't like it when I get upset. It's interesting. I don't feel. And I've got to say, you might be wondering why Chris hasn't sort of sprinted over to give me a hug, but that isn't actually. It's to sound really silly, but I know he's all right not to give me a hug. It's not what I want. It's not what I want. It's not what I want.
That's not my love language for you. It's not.
Yeah, I think the reason that I feel uncomfortable getting tearful is that I know that it's not nice for Chris. It's painful for him in the same way that I don't like seeing him upset. And so I sort of feel, he's probably the person that needs a hug more than me.
Huh.
Do you think that's right though, Chris? A little bit?
I just find it embarrassing. I think you're okay. I think you're remembering a very difficult period.
He's right.
You need him to be okay.
I need him to be okay. That is maybe true.
But that's probably a bit true. Yeah, it's funny having Kimberley watch this. I don't know what to make of it.
So if I can make an observation, we've kind of unintentionally had a bit of a difficult conversation, not in the kind of way that we've been describing, but there was a vulnerable moment and then there was a response. And what we recognised here was that there was a difficulty in the room about that.
It was really difficult. It's funny how you see when he gets upset, my desire to simply leave is extremely strong, which I know sounds callous, but I just find it unbearable for some reason. I just don't want to be in the room with you crying. You can go and that's not to be, he knows I love him, but I don't think anyway.
Mm-hmm. So
it was very difficult.
So that's really important. So, you both know something else about each other now. I mean, maybe you knew that before, but there's a way in which that's obvious. And perhaps you now have a better sense of how you can think about or respond to the way Xand expresses himself. And that will bring you, I mean, you're very close anyway, but that can bring you closer together in a much more real way. And that becomes a foundation for a little bit more honesty, a little bit more authenticity, a little bit more introspection, maybe a little bit more generosity when these events and situations arise again. That's the power of the difficult conversation.
I'm persuaded. This has been very helpful for me. One thing, as you know now, that we like to ask all our experts is how your expert knowledge informs what you do. My specific question is, you're very good, I think, at enabling other people to have these difficult conversations. Do you do it yourself? Is there a difficult conversation lurking in your life that you still need to have?
No, I've had them. I've had them.
You are good at this then. You do it yourself. You practice what you preach.
I do try to walk my talk. The benefit of that is that, well, I'm often the friend that people come to for an honest opinion. My relationships are very intentional and they're very relaxed. I feel very, very comfortable with my friends. And I feel like I am really known by the people closest to me. And it's a really beautiful thing.
Well, I love that. Is that true for me? That's what I'm going to go away and I don't have an answer for it now, but I think we're probably both going to go away and go, is that true for our relationships? And might there be more honesty in some of them?
Well, Kimberley, thank you so much. I think that was, I don't know, like exactly what I hoped it would, maybe not exactly what I hoped it would be. The thing that we want to do on WhatsApp Docs is, I don't think Chris and I are inspirational people in that we're not getting it all right. So the thing that I hope we can do is at least go, well, look, here's the ways that we're struggling and here are the difficult things. And I think we're both very grateful that you come. It's not an easy thing to come in and sit with two brothers and kind of talk through difficult conversations, and it sort of gets a bit emotional. And I really hope it's been useful for the listeners.
Kimberley, thank you so much for joining us.
My
Thanks so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.